Are you on the hunt for the best 75-inch TVs? In today's video, we're going to take a look at 5 of the top 75-inch TVs on the market. Before we dive in, we've included Amazon links in the description below, so be sure to check those out to find the one that fits your budget. Number 1. Samsung 77-inch S90C 4K OLED TV. The Samsung S90C is our top pick for the best TV you can buy. It uses a QD OLED display that marries pixel-level contrast with a quantum dot filter. That latter feature provides a brighter image than similarly priced 77-inch OLEDs from LG and Sony. Black levels are deep and disappear into a dark room, while colors are rich and pop from the screen. The S90C can deliver a peak brightness of about 1000 nits, which gives HDR10 and HDR10 Plus content brilliant highlights. And the TV's quantum dots enable bright colors to look more saturated than they do on competing LG models. On the downside, the S90C doesn't support Dolby Vision, a popular HDR format supported by Sony and LG TVs. Dolby Vision can offer more accurate HDR performance in some cases, but improvements are subtle, so we don't think this omission is a deal breaker. You can learn more about how HDR formats compare in our HDR TV guide. Samsung's Smart TV interface is solid, with access to all of the best streaming services, but navigation can be a little sluggish. On the plus side, the interface includes a gaming hub with access to the Xbox Game Pass app. This allows Game Pass members to stream Xbox games without a console. Samsung is the only brand to offer this service on its TVs. The S90C also supports a fast 144Hz refresh rate when paired with a PC to deliver smooth gameplay. Samsung also sells a 2024 version of this TV, the S90D, which can get a little brighter but typically costs more. However, the 77-inch S90D has been getting some great discounts recently. If you can find the S90D on sale for around the same price as the S90C, it's worth considering as a slightly better alternative. Number 2. TCL 75-inch QM7 QLED 4K TV. When it comes to mid-range displays, the TCL QM7 is one of the best 75-inch TVs you can get. Like the more affordable Roku Plus series, this is a QLED with local dimming. But the QM7 uses mini LEDs instead of regular-sized ones, which helps it deliver better contrast and higher brightness. And rather than a 60Hz screen, it supports up to a 144Hz refresh rate for smoother gaming performance. During our review, the QM7 delivered colorful HDR playback and impressive brightness for its class. We measured a peak of 1700 nits, which is more than enough to enjoy the full effect of most HDR content. The TV also produces solid black levels, but they can't match the perfectly uniform quality of an OLED, and they're not quite as deep as those on pricier QLEDs like the Sony Bravia 9. Like most QLED TVs, viewing angles are narrow, so we don't recommend this set if you typically sit off to the side of your display. The QM7's picture processing is also a step down from flagship sets sold by brands like LG, Samsung, and Sony. This is most noticeable when watching lower quality sources, like YouTube streams and cable TV, which don't look as sharp as they do on some other displays. On the plus side, the QM7 is one of the most affordable 75-inch TVs with a 120Hz refresh rate, up to 144Hz with a PC, so it can support high frame rate modes on a PS5 or Xbox Series X. The QM7's Google TV interface was also smooth and responsive during our testing, but we did encounter a few small glitches with certain settings. Given its price and size, the 75-inch QM7 is a fantastic value for anyone who wants a top mid-tier 4K TV. Number 3. Sony 77-inch A95L 4K OLED TV. Sony's A95L OLED is the ultimate display for enthusiasts who want a high-end 77-inch TV. It is, bar none, the most impressive TV we've tested, but it's also one of the most expensive. Like our top pick, the Samsung S90C, the Sony A95L uses a QD OLED panel with an infinite contrast ratio and high color volume. But while the S90C tops at around 1000 nits of peak brightness, we measured a max of 1500 nits on the A95L. That's 500 nits more than Sony's previous model in this series, the A95K, and one of the brightest measurements we've recorded on an OLED TV. The only OLEDs that can get brighter are the Samsung S95D and LG G4. The A95L's high brightness complements its pixel-level contrast to deliver stunning HDR images. Some HDR videos are graded for a peak luminance above 1000 nits, so the A95L's ability to go over that number allows it to display bright highlights more accurately. And unlike Samsung TVs, the A95L supports Dolby Vision. This feature can provide slightly better HDR quality in certain instances. However, in this performance class, we consider Dolby Vision more of a cool bonus rather than a must-have feature. Sony's picture processing also helps to give the TV unrivaled image accuracy and even lower quality sources from cable, indoor TV antennas, and YouTube upscale nicely. And like most OLED TVs, the picture quality doesn't degrade when you sit to the side of the screen. Given its premium price, it's also no surprise that the A95L has some nice design flourishes, like a backlit remote, an adjustable stand that supports 3 orientations, high, low, and narrow, and a webcam for video calls and gesture controls. Gamers get full 120Hz support when paired with a PS5 or Xbox Series X console, but only 2 of the TV's HDMI ports have the required bandwidth for this feature. There's also no 144Hz mode for PC gaming, something that other brands offer on many of their top TVs. Still, it's difficult to find much fault with the A95L, given how incredible its image quality is. Most people are better off saving money with any of our other best 75-inch TV picks, but this is the high-end display to buy if you don't have budget restrictions. Number 4. Samsung 77-inch S95D OLED 4K TV. In addition to simply being an excellent high-end OLED TV, the Samsung S95D has a unique feature that's ideal for solving one specific frustration: screen reflections. Though not a problem in every room, certain spaces with lots of lights and windows can be a headache for viewers since most displays have glossy screens that show lots of glare. However, the S95D has a matte screen that nearly eliminates this issue. There are some drawbacks, but if you struggle with reflections in your room, the S95D could be a game changer. The only notable TVs with similar matte finishes are Samsung's Frame TV, Hisense's TV, and TCL NXT Frame TV, but those models can't match the overall image quality of the S95D. In our testing, the S95D's matte screen worked exactly as advertised, and we didn't encounter any of the typical mirror-like reflections we see on other TVs. In addition to simply being an excellent high-end OLED TV, the Samsung S95D has a unique feature that's ideal for solving one specific frustration: screen reflections. Though not a problem in every room, certain spaces with lots of lights and windows can be a headache for viewers since most displays have glossy screens that show lots of glare. However, the S95D has a matte screen that nearly eliminates this issue. There are some drawbacks, but if you struggle with reflections in your room, the S95D could be a game changer. The only notable TVs with similar matte finishes are Samsung's Frame TV, Hisense's TV, and TCL NXT Frame TV, but those models can't match the overall image quality of the S95D. In our testing, the S95D's matte screen worked exactly as advertised, and we didn't encounter any of the typical mirror-like reflections we see on other TVs. Number 5. Sony 75-inch Bravia 9 QLED 4K TV. The Sony Bravia 9 is an absolute powerhouse of a TV, with premium image quality that beats every other QLED we've reviewed. It gets incredibly bright while maintaining deep black levels that are so good they nearly rival an OLED. Like most high-end QLEDs, the Bravia 9 uses a mini LED backlight with local dimming. This tech enables the TV to dim and brighten specific portions of its screen to create vibrant highlights and inky black levels. That said, the effectiveness of this feature largely depends on a TV's specific dimming algorithm, which tells its zones how to operate. The Bravia 9's algorithm is one of the most impressive we've ever seen. Many TVs with local dimming are prone to issues like blooming, halos around bright objects, vignetting, darkening around the edges of bright objects, and light bleed, which can elevate black levels in certain areas. During our testing, the Bravia 9 was virtually free from any of these problems. Even with the lights off while playing especially tricky sequences, the Bravia 9 delivered precise highlights and uniform black levels that disappeared into a dark room. The TV is also notable for its high peak brightness. We measured a max of over 2,600 nits, which puts the Bravia 9 among the brightest TVs on the market. Though it's still rare for HDR movies and TV shows to call for such high brightness, filmmakers are starting to produce more titles with high luminance displays in mind. In that sense, the Bravia 9 is good for future-proofing. On the downside, the TV's high brightness contributes to one of the few flaws we encountered with its local dimming. While watching especially bright HDR content, like The Rings of Power on Amazon Prime, we saw slightly delayed pops in brightness when cutting between certain shots. So rather than seamlessly transition between a dimmer image and a brighter one, the TV takes a second to pump up its luminance. We've seen this kind of behavior on other QLEDs and even some OLEDs in the past, but it's a bit more pronounced on the Bravia 9. Ultimately, no TV is perfect, but the Bravia 9 is about as close to reference quality as any QLED we've tested. Viewing angles aren't as wide as an OLED, but the Bravia 9 is a better fit for viewers who want an extra bright high-end display.